Welcome to Quickshots. Quickshots.
Oh, hey, welcome to Quickshots, where we answer your questions really quickly.
Really quickly?
Sometimes not as quick as we should.
All right. I'll give you this first one. It follows a similar question that we have had recently come through that we're going to put in a main body. But it is my parents are keen to buy a property, but they can't borrow money. They've asked if I want to come in on the property with them. What's the best way to combine finances and structure the investment?
Oh my. That's, there's so many ways to cut a deal. And we're seeing this more often because when you get over sort of 60, 65, which is actually pretty young these days, but banks are a little bit more reluctant to lend, aren't they, cuz? Because they're lending based on a 30-year loan term. So they're sort of
particularly the older you are, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's right. So the older you are, the less time they assume you've got to work. So putting the loan term over 30 years is I don't think they do that. They might even make it 20 to 25 years. Yeah. Which sort of compresses it all, meaning you've got higher repayments and sometimes you can't borrow. So I guess it's the reversal, right? We've talked about young people teaming up with their parents, but now we're talking about parents teaming up with the youngins because the parents have got the equity, but they don't necessarily have the incomes anymore or the serviceable income to increase their debt. And the kids have got increasing incomes or incomes full stop and no equity and no investments, no assets. I think it is a great thing to do if you are comfortable and if you've got a great relationship with your parents, like if you've got a relationship where you are comfortable to talk about your finances all together. And I think we take for granted a lot of families actually don't have that, which baffles me, but it does exist. So I think you want to be able to sit around a table and have a hard conversation. What do you guys earn? What are you trying to buy? And then you obviously telling them as well and having a very open conversation. I think, the best structure really, you can position the ownership of a property. So, for example, one of the properties that I bought with my dad, I owned 90% of, and he owned 10%. But according to the loan, and he came on that loan with me so we could both service it. I needed his income at the time because mine was too low, but I actually owned 90% of it and he owned 10%. And when it came time, I actually bought out his 10% share. And then now today I'm the 100% owner and he's out. That could be a way to do it with your parents whereby you structure who needs tax benefits, who has the majority ownership, and what does it look like in 5, 7, 10 years when maybe you want to exit as the kid. So I think it all comes down to the ownership and your capacity. You've got to consider, is it going to help or hinder you?
And that's called tenants in common. FYI.
There you go. Ownership, aka tenants in common. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can do that, but you really got to have an open and honest conversation and look at the structure of ownership, which you can talk to your conveyancer about, and maybe even a solicitor as well if if they do need to explain how that ownership works for you. And also, I hate to say, but also an accountant. That may come that may also need to be factored as well. Okay, next question here. This is so relevant to you right now. Should I build a pool in my investment property?
No freaking way. I just built a pool in my own home, and look, the reality is I don't think you get much more increased value in your home beyond what the pool cost. From a cost point of view, the cost of maintenance is quite high. Particularly as the pool gets older. So it just doesn't make sense for me. If it did, I'd do it. Don't have any pools in any of my investment properties. So
no way.
Next one, can I refinance my investment properties to pay down my owner-occupier debt?
How did I get all the meaty ones today? Yeah, look, the short of that is you can refinance and restructure to pay down your owner-occupier debt. I think this is the one that the brokers will cringe at a little bit because obviously there has to be a reason that you are refinancing. So obviously a lot of compliance nodes to ticks, but you're effectively shifting debt. right? So you're shifting debt, and it is relatively smart if you can shift your debt over to your tax deductible debt, which I understand where this question is coming from, but you've got to realize you're ultimately shifting debt around. So you've got to make sure that it's actually going to be feasible for you. I mean, are you moving your debt from your investment properties to, your owner-occupier to your investment properties to save money? Are you going to get less interest rates? Is it going to cost you to do that refinance? I mean, there are all these things that you've got to weigh up. Ultimately, the answer is yes, you can, but you have to make sure it is a feasible and well worth exercise for you to do that.
And speak to an accountant.
Yeah, that's
all right,
true.
that's Quickshots. Well done. Thanks for doing the heavy lifting on that one.
Oh, my God.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.